This is chapter 3, same book. Since it is evident out of what parts the city is constituted, it is necessary first to speak of household management. This is a word that we're hearing a lot when it comes to businesses anymore, is like so and so management, blah, 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 management. Well, what is it to manage in the course of, we already know that there's managing going on within the business, right? But for every city is composed of households. The parts of household management corresponds to the parts out of which the household itself is constituted. Now the complete household is made up of slaves and free persons. Since everything is to be sought for first in its smallest elements, and the first and smallest parts of the household are master, slave, husband, wife, father, and children. Three things must be investigated to determine what each is and what sort of thing it ought to be. These are expertise and mastery and martial rule. There is no term for the union of man and woman, like they gave marriage the term for the union of. And thirdly, in parental rule, this too has not been assigned a term of its own. Like you're a parent. Apparently, we don't have a parent parental rule. So much then for the three we spoke of. There is a certain part of it, however, which some hold to be identical with household management, and others its greatest part. How the matter really stands has to be studied. I am speaking of what it is called in business expertise. You see, they said everything, but they left out the mother. The household are master, slave, husband, wife, husband, father, wife, children, no wife. I mean, no mother. Three things, though, to be investigated as to what sort of things they ought to be. That these things are expertise and mastery. But in marital rule, not martial rule, my bad, marital rule, there is no term for the union of man and woman. So marriage isn't even the term. And then there is no parental rule, for there is no parent assigned. So much then of the three. There is a certain part, however, to behold and identical with, in that is the household management. Let us speak first about master and slave, so that we may see at the same time what relates to necessary needs and whether we can not acquire something in the way of knowledge about these things that is better than current conceptions. For some hold that mastery is a kind of science, and that managing the household mastery and expertise in political and kingly rule are the same. As we said at the beginning, others hold that the exercising mastery is against nature. For as they believe, it is by law that one person is slave and another free, there being no difference by nature, and hence it is not just, since it rests upon a force. Now, possessions are a part of the household, and expertise in acquiring possessions a part of household management. For, like, I'm in a household now, and the attorney who seeks possession over real property, over my residential housing, has me thrown in a loopity loop of who is running the household at this point. For without the necessary things, it is impossible either to live or to live well. And just as the specialized arts must of necessity have in their proper instruments their work to be performed, so too must the expert household manager. Now, of the instruments, like you and I are, some are inanimate and others animate. The pilot's rudder. Oh, goodness, shell. Really? Pilot. pile of lots, I hope. For example, rudder in your oil, sediment. But rudder is the pilot's inanimate object. But his lookout, inanimate one, for the subordinate is a kind of instrument for the arts. A possession, too, then is an instrument for life, and one's possessions are the multitude of such instruments like your body given to you for life. Subordinately deal with it. A possession, too, then is an instrument for life, and one's possessions are the multitude of such instruments. And the slave is a possession of the animate sort. Every subordinate, moreover, is an instrument that wields many instruments. For if each of the instruments were able to perform its work on command or by anticipation, which that's how we should work anyways, by internal want, the drive to do such things, to build, to go, to create. As they assert those of Daedalus or Daedalus did, the tripods of Hephaestus, which the poet says, of their own accord came to the gods gathering. So that shuttles like NASA's shuttles, would weave themselves in picks, play the lyre, Lyre. Master craftsmen would no longer have a need for subordinates or masters for slaves. Now we brought in the craftsmen. We were just master and slaves. Now talking about the master craftsmen would no longer then need the subordinates of masters and slaves, but they were just the regular ordinate, whether it be animate or inanimate. The slave has to be animate. But a possession is an instrument of action. For from the shuttle, NASA, a saying, comes something apart from the use of it. While from clothing or a bed, the use alone, like the payloads, the DOD and the payloads. Further, since production and action differ in kind and both require instruments, these must of necessity reflect the same difference. Life is action, not production. The slaves is therefore subordinate to what matters concerning action, which is life. So they're not production. A possession is spoken of in the same way as a part. When you try to proportion something, a part is not only part of something else, but belongs wholly to something else. Similarly with a possession. Accordingly, while the master is only master of the slave and does not belong to him, the slave is not only slave to the master, but belongs wholly to him. What the nature of the slave is and what his capacity, then is clear. For one who does not belong to himself by nature, but is another's, though a human being, is by nature a slave. A human being is another's, who, though a human being, is a possession. So you as master is no different than slave, as you too, master, are slave to the slave who is slaving to you as master, but don't and have not recognized the term to his own master that he too, he, she, they too can be, to master their own things in nature, by nature himself, as individual or partnership. That's what nature means. A human being is another's who, though a human being is possession, and possession is an instrument of action. And so we know that an instrument of action, as said up here, is life and separable from its owner. Therefore, you can be separable from your owner, from anything. Life is action, not production.